I want to welcome you to this study in the book of Colossians. Before we get into the Word of God today, let me just say this. If you'd like to help us out, if you would like to see this message being heard and seen by more people, hit the like button and then hit the subscribe button. And it will bless us, but it'll not only bless us, but it'll bless all the people that will be able to see this video and this teaching from the book of Colossians. Now, today we're in Colossians, the first chapter. We're in verse number 27. Now, the end of verse number 25, 26, and 27, they all fit together. And so what the Apostle Paul is talking about is he's talking about this mystery, this thing that's been hidden. And then all of a sudden he says in the end of verse number 26, but now this thing that was hidden is now being manifested or shown in the saints. It's being shown to the saints. In other words, we are living in the manifestation of the gospel. It's been hidden for many years. All through the Old Testament, it was hidden. But now it is no longer a mystery. Now it is being seen. It's coming to evidence. It's coming to light through us. And as the gospel comes into us, it goes out of us. Now, verse number 27 says this, to whom God willed to make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. What is the Apostle Paul talking about? Well, Paul starts out and he says, to whom God willed. You know what? This whole thing is a plan of God. From the very beginning, God had a plan. He had a will. And part of that will was for thousands of years to have the gospel be a mystery to the people that were around them. They could not clearly see what God was doing until Jesus came, until he died on the cross and shed his blood so that mankind could be redeemed. And then God began to reveal what his plan was, what his will was from the very beginning of time. And Paul was one of the people that God is showing the mystery of the gospel to. And so he says, again, in the first part of verse number 27, he says, to whom God willed to make known. Now, what did God will to make known? What was he wanting to do the whole time? He was wanting to make known what is the riches of the glory. Whew! What is the riches of the glory? What was God wanting to make manifest? What was God wanting to show to the world? He was wanting to show the world himself. He was wanting to show the world the riches of his glory. Wow. The riches of his glory. What is God wanting to show? You know, if you look at it, for thousands of years, the world lived in darkness. And then all of a sudden, here comes Jesus, and they see a light. They see something different. You know, one of the things that drew people to Jesus is that he was so different than all the other religious people. They see a light, and this light is shining, and this light is the gospel. How many of you realize that when the glory of God comes into a place of extreme darkness, it is that glory is just so magnificent. And so God has always willed so that mankind would be able to see his glory. Again, going back to verse number 27, the riches of his glory, the abundance of his glory. Not just a little bit of his glory, but the abundance of his glory. That's what we see in the gospel, the abundance of the glory of God. But Paul's not finished yet. Look what he says. He says, the glory of the mystery among the Gentiles. Oh, the Jewish people thought the Gentiles, there's not even a chance that God would ever show his glory to them. Now, remember, a large portion of the church in Colossia were Gentiles. There was two main elements that were going on in Colossia. There was the Jewish element, and then there was the Greek mythology type stuff. The Apostle Paul is hitting it, and he's saying right here that the glory of God is going to be manifest and is manifest in the very darkest place. He didn't say that it was going to manifest in Israel. He said, no, it's going to be in the Gentiles. In the Gentiles. In those that were completely separated and alienated from God, God's going to show off his glory right there. And so, again, verse number 27, which is the riches of the glory of this mystery. What is the mystery? The gospel. Among the Gentiles. And then he says, this is the mystery of the gospel, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Christ, the anointed, Christ, the Messiah. And where is he resident? He is resident inside of Gentiles. I believe that as these Jewish people are hearing this, it was like this tremendous manifestation of understanding the power of the gospel. But not only for the Gentiles, but there was these Greek people, and they were into mysticism. And all of a sudden, Paul is saying this thing is real. It's evident, and it's evident in the Gentiles. It's evident in you Greeks. It's evident in you. Christ is in you, and Christ in you is the very hope, the very expectancy of more glory to come. Thank you for watching today.